Welcome to the Healthcare Business Secrets Show, where we interview industry leaders and break down exactly how they're dominating their markets so you can learn from the best and can double your revenue, double your impact, and double your time off. In this episode, we're talking with Drew Manning. Drew is a health and fitness coach, New York Times bestselling author of Fit to Fat to Fit, host of the Fit to Fat to Fit Experiment podcast, and motivational speaker. He gained attention of the media when he took the initiative of gaining 75 pounds on purpose to demonstrate to his clients that they could lose all that weight too. He documented every step of the way on his blog and got to experiment and experience firsthand not only the physical changes from gaining weight, but also the emotional downs that came with it. Despite all the struggles, he's been able to lose all the weight he'd put on. Now he's sharing the secret of his weight loss and proving to everyone that it's not impossible to get fit no matter what. Welcome to the show, Drew.
Thanks, James, for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you. I think that there's a lot of unique things that you've done, and there's a lot that us in the health kind of industry can learn from your journey and your processes and things. And we're kind of just talking about it just before on the show, and I said, look, there's some gold that's being shared. Let's get into it. So let's kind of pick back up where we left off. I asked you, from what you've done, it's obviously a great way for business, but let me ask you again, what got you into it? Was it that you were just kind of sick of people complaining about not getting results, and so you said, that's it, I'm just going to show you how it's done? Was it like, hey, it'd be a great idea if I get fat and then get fit and show people that it's possible as a marketing stunt? Like, what got you into doing this?
Yeah, so let me kind of start with where I came from. So I grew up in a family of 11 brothers and sisters. We all played sports. I played football and wrestling from a very young age. And so my entire life up until that point was I was in shape, and my mentality was it's super easy to get in shape. All you do is eat healthy food and you go to the gym, and it's not that hard, right? And I became a personal trainer because of my passion for fitness. And here I was, someone who had never been overweight a day in my life, trying to help people who had been overweight pretty much the majority of their life. And what did I know? I knew how to write meal plans and workouts and say, here you go, do this, and then you'll get results. And they would struggle to follow those meal plans. They would struggle to do those workouts consistently because this would happen or that would happen. And I'm like, you guys, just put down the junk food, go to the gym. It's like, why do you keep struggling with this? Because in my mind, I'm like, you guys, it's so simple. And then I started training my brother-in-law at the time, who he was the one who kind of told me, Drew, you don't understand what it's like. Like, for you, it's been easy your whole life. But for me and people like me, it's way harder than you think. And when he said that, I kind of took that to heart. I'm like, you know what? Maybe you're right. And maybe I, as the trainer or the coach, need to learn something. So I was thinking of ideas. How can I better relate to my clients? How can I get a better understanding? And then one of these days, this idea popped up into my head. It was like a light bulb moment where I was thinking, and then boom, this idea of getting fat on purpose, it made sense in my head. I thought, this feels like a calling almost to do. And I decided to do that first journey of Fit to Fat to Fit, where for 6 months I stopped exercising, ate an unrestricted diet, gained 75 pounds in 6 months, was truly humbled. It was way harder than I thought it was going to be, but my eyes were finally opened, and it gave me a whole new perspective of what I was missing as a trainer, as a coach before, because I had not had any experiences other than what my experiences were. And that was, it's easy to get fit, until I did that first Fit to Fat to Fit experience. And that's where the story went viral, organically. I didn't have a marketing team. I didn't have a PR team, nothing. I just kind of did the journey in hopes to gain a better understanding. And then boom, before you know it, Dr. Oz, Jay Leno, Good Morning America, book deal, TV show here in America. It kind of blew up because I think of how humbled I was and how much harder than I ever expected it to be. And I think it just made me more relatable at the end of the day.
What was hard? Talk us through that.
Man, it was more so the mental and emotional aspect. So as I was gaining weight, obviously physically I knew what was going to happen. Man boobs, big gut, big butt, like the body would start to gain a lot of fat. What I wasn't prepared for was how it was going to affect me mentally and emotionally. So up until this point, you got to understand, my identity was based off of my body. So I was Drew the fit guy. That was my identity. So my body image was my self-image. And so when I became overweight for the first time, I'll be totally honest with you, James, I freaked out. I wanted to go up to strangers in public and explain to them, hey guys, I'm not really overweight. This is just an experiment. Let me show you my before picture. Let me show you what I really look like. This isn't me. Yeah. Because I was so uncomfortable. So I had low self-esteem, low confidence in myself. And it was very uncomfortable for me because my body image was my self-image. But guess what? the opposite of that is true too. People put so much value on our outward appearance, right? They tell you you're only of value to the society if you look a certain way, if you're an Instagram model, if you're 10% body fat, like, and so people think they need to get that to look that way in order to be accepted by society, and therefore there's a lot of self-hate and shame and guilt when people have larger bodies. And so this whole journey was way more mental and emotional than I expected, and that's where the greatest lessons were learned, which I wrote about in my first book, Fit to Fat to Fit, which became a New York Times bestseller, probably because of that.
Do you think that, and this is just, I kind of feel like I know the answer, but I want to kind of ask it anyway and kind of dive into it, because there's a point in my head of where I want to take you with this. I think this is an amazing concept. Do you think that a lot of the struggle came from what you saw of yourself and were telling yourself about it as you started to change, what the people around you were saying, or who you then kind of started the group that you were becoming more associated with, or also biochemically, the crap you're putting in your body affecting you? What do you think was playing the most effect on how you were feeling? Because I think that what's interesting, and I'll kind of give you some context, is I see the same thing in people who are struggling to be successful. I think success, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's physical body, money, it doesn't matter. And I see this a lot. And the change that for me happened when I stopped seeing myself as a certain way. And Tony Robbins taught me this, which was to see who I am and I'm going to be like it's been taken from me, which gave me immense drive to get back to it, versus being enrolled in the story of what I am right now. So talk me through that. What do you think that was the biggest influence for you on how you were feeling going through that?
I think it's a combination of things. Eating that food, living that way, definitely opened up my eyes. It definitely shifted my perspective of how I judged other people before that, because I didn't think food had that much of an effect on the mind and the emotional side of a person, when in actuality it really does. And the other thing that I think really changed me was my perception and people's perception of what success looks like in the health and fitness industry. People think success in this industry is to be an Instagram model. Like, once you get that body, then you'll be healthy. Then, people will love you. People will accept you. People will be nicer to you. You'll love yourself. You'll be kinder to yourself, and all your problems will go away. It's the same thing with entrepreneurs. Once I have this much money, once I have this much fame, once I have these kind of businesses and they're all, perfect, then I can be happy. And this is the problem with our perception, because that's what's fed to us in the media, social media, TV shows, movies. It's what we see. That's what we think success needs to look like. When in reality, you can be successful and happy with where you are now, even though your life isn't perfect. So when people are on a physical fitness transformation, like I was doing that Fit to Fat to Fit experiment, and this is what I tell people now, is people think once I get to the top, then I can rest and be happy. But they're at war with themselves up until that point. They hate themselves up until that point. And the problem is a lot of people don't end up making it to the top. And people think that's what life is all about, is getting to the top. It's about becoming who you're supposed to become on that journey of climbing. And whoever whether you get to the top or not, doesn't matter, should not matter for your level of happiness. A lot of people think it will. But I promise you, once you get to the top, people who are super rich and super famous, they'll tell you that is not what makes you happy. Same thing with health and fitness. I know a lot of people with 5% body fat that look great as an Instagram model, but still hate themselves, are still miserable. And so this is a myth that we buy into as a society, as a culture, thinking, once this happens, then one day, then I can love myself. Then all my problems will go away. And before you know it, life's passed you by, and you've been at war with yourself this whole time.
Because people have always got something to sell, right? So they got to sell the supplement, they got to sell the program, they got to sell the dream, and it's definitely the process of who you become getting there. Like the thing with me, and why you could say that I've had success in particular areas, is because I'm not actually doing it for that. I'm doing it because I just enjoy it and I'm obsessed with it. And you look at anyone who's who's top of their game, top of their field, whatever it is, a lot of them are just obsessed with the process. Like getting to the gym and doing that sort of thing for me is hard, because I don't care about going, whereas my trainer loves it. dude just loves being in the gym. He's obsessed. And so I'm like, I'm going to connect myself with him to get some of that juice so that I can have the health benefits and the productivity benefits that come with being healthy, but I'm not inherently obsessed with that thing. And so when we try and do something and we're not obsessed with it, I think that we then get disheartened because we don't produce the outcomes we want. We get stressed out by that, and then that kind of perpetuates the cycle. And I think that especially with what you were doing, I think it's amazing, because what it does is it teaches you to empathize with your ideal client, so you know what they're actually going through, because it is easy to lose weight. Just don't eat like crap and go to the gym. Makes sense. It is easy to be successful. Just obsess about it, get a coach, and stop watching Netflix. But the difference between knowing and doing and feeling and believing and all of that, and I think that what these health professionals listening to this show can take out of this is, guys, we are often the healthy ones. We are the ones who have overcome the chronic pain. We're the ones who know the nutrition, fix the back pain. And so it's easy for us on the other side of the fence, especially if we've never been there ourselves. So if you don't have that background story, it's sometimes hard to relate to people. And so it's about going and actually understanding what's stopping this person from actually just doing the things that they know they need to do. Like, at the end of the day, most people know what they need to do. It's not that they don't know. It's that they just can't do it, not because of an actual obstacle other than the obstacle that's going on in their own head. So I bet it would have been really eye-opening for you. But I've also bet that it's meant that you can relate to clients a lot better. You can tell better stories, and you can motivate them to get outcomes. Because the biggest thing that I've noticed for my journey in healthcare is it's not about getting someone started per se. It's about getting them to follow through. Like, you can get someone to buy. Think about gyms, right? I feel like, I don't know if it's true, I feel like gyms make most of their money from people buying a gym membership and then never going. It's so easy to buy a gym membership and buy the pants and buy the shoes. But it's about that follow through. So how has this helped you with getting your clients to follow through and get outcomes, or at least connect with them about what they really want, so that you can actually help them get what they want and what they need?
It totally shifted. And I had way more of a focus now on the mental and emotional side of transformation. So helping people overcome their mental and emotional challenges versus like, all right, you're struggling. Let's change up your diet. Let's change up your macros. Let's change up your calories, change up your workouts. And if we do these tweaks, something will work eventually to where your body will start to respond, and then you'll lose the weight, and then you'll be happy again. When in reality, the thing that stops most people is up here, is those self-limiting beliefs. And it's on the mental and emotional side that people need help. Like you said, it's not a lack of knowledge. So most people struggle, in my opinion, on the mental and emotional side of transformation. That's where they need the help. Like you said, it's not a lack of knowledge. They could go to Google and figure out how to do the keto diet or the paleo diet or whatever the diet is, and they could learn how to work out if they really wanted that access to that information. It's more so, okay, what is keeping me from living this lifestyle every single day? And if you look at yourself, you're going to eventually figure out that it's some type of emotional trauma or challenge or stress in your life that triggers you. When those emotions come up of that trauma or challenge in life, something has happened at some point where you gravitate towards maybe comfort food, or maybe alcohol, or maybe drugs, or maybe Netflix, and you distract yourself from dealing with that trauma or challenge. And so it's easier to numb yourself with these substances than it is to face it, figure it out, learn how to let it go, be at peace with it, and then from there realize that you are worthy of living a healthy lifestyle. And that's what stops a lot of people, is because at the subconscious level, they really do believe that they are not worthy, or they don't deserve to be happy or to be healthy. And so that keeps a lot of people from actually living this lifestyle consistently, because they self-sabotage, and it becomes a reoccurring pattern in the brain where these neural pathways tell them the same story over and over again. And they'll do a diet, they'll lose a few pounds, then they'll some challenge will happen, and then they'll give in and they'll go back to their old ways. And they're like, see, I told you so. You're never going to be able to do this. And then people start to believe that story. And then 20, 30, 40, 50 years of this, now they're trying to kind of willpower their way to overcome that. It just doesn't happen that way. That's not how we're wired. So you have to almost rewire your brain, in a sense, to see yourself and your situation through a new perspective or a new perception, so that you can overcome those emotional challenges. And this is where I'm trying to do something that's really no one really talks about in the health and fitness industry per se, because it's all about diet and calories and macros and supplements. It's bringing in these tools on the mental and emotional side to help people overcome those challenges, so that the physical side will eventually they'll be able to be consistent once they overcome those mental, emotional, spiritual issues that they haven't really dealt with, because they see physical transformation as this thing over here. It's like, all right, diet, exercise, okay, I'll do that, but they don't see how all of those are intertwined, and physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all those pillars need to be in alignment. Because if you focus just on one, we see this in the entrepreneur world. People will sacrifice their health to gain wealth, but then their body goes to hell, and then now that they have time and wealth, now they're like, okay, I need to get my health back. Let me focus on health. And you see people in the fitness world that sacrifice, their wealth in a sense to get health, and they look great, but then they don't know how to monetize their business, or they don't know how to be successful as a dad or an entrepreneur or a business owner. And so if you can focus on all those pillars and find whatever your balance is, that's where you can really be fulfilled. That's where you can really be happy.
100%. An example for me was I used to work with a lot of people who had anxiety, and I built an anxiety program and worked with a lot of them in my clinic. And there were two distinct categories of people that had anxiety. There was the ones who probably weren't diagnosed, didn't really necessarily consider they had anxiety. They just noticed anxiousness that affected their performance, and it was this thing that got in the way of what they wanted to achieve, and they wanted to solve the problem. Their mindset was different. Then there was the category of people where I have XYZ type of anxiety. I've been diagnosed. I've spoken to everyone. It's my story. It's my life. And so when you go up to that person and you say, hey, just do this, this, and this, and it will change and you have whatever you want, they don't.
Yeah.
And then you've got the other group who does. And so from a business standpoint, you begin to focus on those who actually just follow through on, the people who have the story of it's in the way and I need a solution. Those people need strategy. But the majority of people, especially if you want to go mass market with everything that you're doing, you have to understand from a business sense that most people have stories. Those stories control them. You need to understand those stories and help them navigate those stories, and that strategies and tactics are never the answer. It's always mindset first, getting them to do it, and then what's the tactic? Because everyone says, I'm going to do – fitness is a great example of this.
Yeah.
How you do your bicep curl is how I've got massive guns. You don't want to look like Arnold. You got to work out like this, work out like that. It's like, no, you got to absolutely obsess plus juice and do some other stuff, and then you'll look like Arnold. But the key thing comes to obsession. It's not how he's doing his bicep curls. People look for tactics. They look for strategies. I'm going to do this diet. I'm going to do that diet. And obviously in healthcare, it's the same thing. In a business, especially, it's the same thing. So many of the people that I talk to who want to grow their health businesses, they're looking for the tactic. They're looking for the strategy, Facebook ads, this thing, that thing. It's like, it's bullshit. It's not that. It's your head game first. Once you know what you're trying to achieve, what your purpose is, then we then start to fill in the strategy, which produces a result and reinforces for us the mindset that gets us to success. It's an interesting thing. And I learned a lot of this from Tony Robbins, right? After the fact, of course, you struggle and you hustle and then you figure it out.
Of course.
Yeah, I think it's great. So how have you gone about using this in a business sense? Like, what have you, because you're doing it again, right? You're going back through the fat, fit, fat.
Yeah, I'm 30 pounds up so far in 1 month of my second fit to fat to fit journey. I guess let me back up and talk about the evolution of the business side of this really quick in a nutshell. So back in 2011, social media wasn't what it is today, right? So I didn't know what I was doing. I got lucky. I really did. It took off, wrote a book. The book turned into a TV show where we had 2 seasons on A&E out here in the U.S. Of my TV show. But from there, even still, I didn't know what I was doing business-wise. I didn't know how to monetize my business. I honestly had no idea what I was doing up for the first 5 or 6 years. I think that's really relevant because sometimes a lot of entrepreneurs think, okay, week 1, I'll figure it out. I got this great strategy. And this applies to what you were just saying. I had the passion. I had the obsession with what I wanted to do. I had the goal in mind, but I didn't know the how. And the how didn't just happen. I didn't figure out the how until, like I said, 5 or 6 years later, where eventually I knew what I wanted my content to be. And then from there started creating programs. And then from there teamed up with a marketing team that knew how to market what I was doing in areas that I had no expertise. But it was that combination of once I was aligned with my message, once I knew what my purpose was, I could build that into my programs, which set my programs apart from every other program out there. And that's where I really started to pick up some steam and did very well in the ClickFunnels world. I see that ClickFunnels plaque back there. We did that. We did awesome. We killed it for about a good 2 years until Facebook changed, right? And then from there, Um, all of a sudden overnight, there goes, 90% of my income because it was all Facebook ads at that point. But anyways, why am I doing this again? I started my second Fit to Fat to Fit experiment, like I said, 1 month ago. And this time it's called Fit to Fat to 40, by the way. And I felt like this time around in 2020 versus 2011, I could make way more of an impact. I can make this journey way more educational, way more inspirational, so much more data to track. And with social media being what it is today, I could touch so many more people's lives versus in 2011, it was literally Facebook and posting videos and pictures, and that's it. There was no Instagram Live. Like there's none of this, what we're doing right now. Like I couldn't, put this out there to the masses like I can now. And so I figured, why not do it again as a 40-year-old? So tapping into that demographic. But this time around, I can take all the things I didn't know how to do and that I know how to do now and apply it to this journey, where this time around I have a PR team, I have a marketing team, and I have a film crew following me around, documenting the whole thing. Having a PR team reaching out to do interviews, podcasts, TV shows, radio. And then I have a marketing team on the back end to make it more organized and to have my business model implemented into this whole thing. Because last time I had all these eyes, had all this engagement, but I didn't know how to capture any of that data. I was like, okay, cool, go to my website, check it out. And I have some Google ads on there. like that was it. And I didn't really have the business mindset yet. But this time around, I definitely wanted to make more of an impact. And this time around, it's not so much about me needing to learn what it's like to be overweight, because I already learned that. This time around, it's more of a vehicle to get my message across. And my message is one of empathy. Bringing awareness of the importance of empathy in the fitness industry is something that in 2020, we need more empathy now more than ever. Yeah. Whether you're in New Zealand or the USA, there's so much division, there's so much hate and fear and anxiety and worry. And I feel like empathy is one of those things that could be a game changer in so many ways across the world, but specifically in the fitness industry, where people who are larger, who struggle with weight, they're labeled as lazy or they're labeled as this or that. And I feel like if we could be more empathetic, those people, and this is one thing I live by, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care first. So you can have all the knowledge, all the certifications, all the scientific knowledge to know how to fix someone. But if they don't feel like they can trust you, if they don't feel like they can relate to you or connect with you and you're not relatable to them, it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have, because people aren't just buying your knowledge. They're buying you. Do you really care about someone, or are you in this just for the money? People are going to be able to pick up on that. So that's why you have to find your purpose. You have to be aligned with your true, authentic self as you come across, as you're doing these Facebook Lives, as you're doing podcasts, as you're creating programs. What is it about me that people are going to want to invest in or relate to? And so this is what Fit to Fat to Fit is all about, is building, is leading with empathy and building that relationship of trust. Because now people are more willing to trust me because they know I'm not just right off the bat trying to sell them something. They know that this is about connection. This is about change. This is about empathy. And that's something that I think, like I said, this world needs more of. And that's, for me, how I've been able to create that relatability factor with my clients, my followers, is because I don't just say, hey guys, I'm a keto guy. Here's my programs, buy my programs, And so this is kind of what I've learned over the years since Fit to Fat to Fit. This is why I'm doing again a second time as a 40-year-old.
Yeah, I love that. I'm a huge advocate for this, is that social media is the platform where you can connect with people. But to make it work, you need to understand your ideal client, what they're thinking, feeling, experiencing, so you can speak their language. Because anyone can buy a course, buy a program, buy a service and not get an outcome. Anyone can produce those things too. It's commoditized. Knowledge is free. You can YouTube 99% of anything and learn anything, right? But why are some people successful in their businesses and others aren't, even though one might have more knowledge than the other? And I get this a lot in healthcare, right? People have the entire alphabet after their name. They're the expert, but they're the classic broke expert. Because there's a reason why certain people are viewed as authorities and others are just the expert, and it's because knowledge has been commoditized. It's everywhere, and what people are looking for is guidance and insight. They're wanting to know what you think and feel. They're wanting to connect with you to lead them, because we don't need information like we've discussed. We need leadership. We need guidance. We need someone to understand me and what I'm going through to help me to get to where I want to be with what I need. And so I see it a lot with when we're marketing and things like that. You can market the service and then you can just connect with the audience and engage with them. And that always pays dividends long-term versus focusing on the tactic. It comes back to it, right? It's mindset, tactics, strategy. What's important? It's your headspace. And then the rest of it follows. You know what I mean? So I love as well that you came to this after. A lot of people do think to themselves, okay, great, I'm going to put on a whole lot of weight. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do that thing. And it doesn't work out. And it definitely doesn't have the same impact because there's no authenticity to it. People can see through it. When you're authentic in who you are on social media, for example, who you are in your business, who you are with your clients, it's easy to maintain. You can sustain that because it's just you. Yeah. You're not pretending to be something. And too many people are trying to be the influencer, sitting on Lamborghinis, doing butt photos on Instagram to try and get followers. And it's like, if that's who you are, amazing, be you. But most people are not that. And Gary Vee talks about it, right? They're doing posts to get likes, not to get engagement.
It's so true. I think it just comes down to knowing who you are, right? People think, I want to make money. Well, why? I don't know. Because I think that's going to make me happy, so they'll do these crazy things, whatever it takes to get money, to get followers, to get likes, but there's no purpose. There's no fulfillment there. And eventually they're going to figure that out, even if they make a ton of money, which you still can. There's a ton of ways to make money without ever being truly aligned with your true self. But I promise you, as you get older and wiser, you learn that's not fulfilling to me. Like, what is my purpose? What makes me different? Like, why am I here to serve? Am I here to help people? Like, what is my purpose? And I feel like that's kind of lacking sometimes, where people just don't know yet. And that's okay. It took me a good 35 years of my life to really figure out who I really am. Right. And so I went on a journey and I wore a lot of masks throughout the way, to pretending I was this or pretending I was that, trying to fit in. And that's just part of life until experiences will eventually shape your beliefs. And then, your mess kind of becomes your message, and what you stand for becomes your brand. And that's where it starts to be really fulfilling, on this entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah. Once I think you understand what you stand for, it also becomes very easy to ignore bullshit. Like,
yes, the haters.
Yeah, you get so caught, like you get caught up in that world, and you start to try and be vanilla because you're worried about judgment, and when in actual fact that then flattens your business, because it's the peaks of I'm this, I stand for this, that draws people into you. And it's easier to divide and conquer, I suppose. It's easier to divide and say, this is what I stand for, this is who I am, this is what we're about. And people relate to that. So there's advantages to it, not only internally for going after what you want and getting up every day and doing it because you're being authentic, but also positioning yourself in the market from a business standpoint. Dividing is super important, because too many of us, we worry about what people are going to think, what professionals are going to think, and we then don't stand up for who we are in our business. We don't try and separate ourselves out based on personality, and we try and be fancy with our niche. We try and be fancy with, I have this technique, I have this strategy. Again, it's strategies. It's so funny how it comes back to that, right? We try and be fancy with our strategy instead of just being, I'm different because this is me. So I love your message. What's one thing, as we wrap up here, what's one thing that house professionals can do this week, do you think, to impact more people and have more success in their business?
Oh man, it kind of goes with what I just said recently. Is knowing who you are, knowing what separates yourself from everyone else, and maybe I don't expect people to do what I'm doing to gain a new perspective, but there are other ways that you can think of outside of the box that helps to give you that better understanding. And so look for those unique ways instead of like, all right, what's everyone else doing? Maybe I'll just do what everyone else is doing, and maybe people will pick up on me. I feel like find what separates you from everyone else in your industry, and like you said, it is you, it is me, but who are you? Do you know who you are? Or are you just kind of who you're told to be from all the education you have and all the messaging and the programs that you've been programmed with? Like, who are you? And what makes you different? I think that's kind of where a self-reflection, self-discovery journey needs to happen at some point in your life, so that you really are living your purpose, so that you are really doing something that brings you fulfillment. And, this is where the journey of whether entrepreneurship or a health and fitness journey of wanting to lose weight is kind of very similar, where it entails the mental, emotional, almost spiritual side of you to come into play and have those things aligned, versus like my entrepreneurship is a separate journey from my physical journey, from my family journey. You should be the same person in all those areas of your life. And so that's kind of what I would say, is go through some kind of self-discovery process to figure out who you are versus, who you've been programmed to think you are. So for me, to be honest with you, because I know we're running out of time, but like I had to hit rock bottom in my marriage. I was married for 10 years, went through a divorce, went through a transition of my religion, where I was one religion my whole life for 34 years, 35 years of my life, hit rock bottom, left my religion, went through a divorce. And that in a way forced me to start that self-discovery process of like, okay, who am I without this marriage and this religion that has taught me how to think for the first 30 plus years of my life? And it was painful. It was scary. It was dark. It was hard. And I was willing to put in the work with therapists, life coaches, reading books, listening to podcasts, diving into a whole other world that I didn't really know existed, to then eventually come out of it on the other side to know who I really am. And that's where my business, honestly, took off. More so than Fit to Fat to Fit. When Fit to Fat to Fit first happened, I was definitely wearing a mask. And I still got success in that. But it wasn't until I truly found out who I was that my messaging, my branding started to align mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically with my true self. And then that's where things started to take off. So I wish it were just as simple as take this pill, do this diet, and read this book, and you'll be successful and happy for the rest of your life. But unfortunately, you got to do the work. You got to do your own journey.
I liken it to kind of aligning insight, and it's a hard concept for unless you've felt it. It's a hard concept to understand this, but I get you with what you're saying, right? It's like you're feeling it here, and it's just in your chest, or for me, it's in my chest. It's like, boom, that's it. Like it's all from here. Energy is driven. I'm being pulled, so to speak, to where I'm going, rather than having to push and hustle to get there. And it's very easy to make decisions like, nah, that's not a good fit. Yep, this is, let's go. And it's easy because I'm aligned. And I think that it's an amazing piece of advice. We need to be working on what's our purpose? Who are we in this? What are we trying to achieve? And make sure these things line up in an authentic way, because it's easy to maintain, grow, and leverage. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Today was an awesome episode. I think that it's a bit different with what we've talked about, but I think it's super pertinent for people listening, because that's the point of the show, is bringing on people that are doing different things and saying why they're having success. What is it about them and what they're doing? And so this has been powerful. Thank you so much. Where can our audience connect with you online?
Yeah, so my social media is all fit, fat, fit. That's on all the same on all platforms. And then if you want to follow my new journey, that's at fittofatto40.com, either 40 or FORTY.com. You can follow my new journey as it's happening. That's pretty much it. So thanks, James.
Amazing. Thank you so much. We'll definitely be having chats in the future. Thank you so much for coming on the show. You take care.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the show. If you like the episode, please hit subscribe and leave us a review. I'd really appreciate it, as it helps us get our episodes out to more people just like you who want to know how to increase their revenue, impact more people, and build businesses that work for the lifestyle they want. Now, I know your time is valuable, and I know that you are here to learn the secrets to success in your health business. So I have something special for you just for checking out the episode. Now, if you're a health professional, coach, or trainer in business, and you're serious about growing a profitable, impactful business, then pay attention, because as a listener of the show, I want you to win. And so I've created a host of resources available exclusively for listeners of the show. So if you're tired of trying to figure out this game of business, marketing, and sales all on your own, and you're ready to just implement what's already proven to work rather than reinventing the wheel, I want you right now to go and check out healthcarebusinesssecrets.com/insider. And there you'll find over $5,000 worth of trainings, resources, and coaching available only for listeners of the show. There I'll give you the resources on everything from how to acquire 10 times more of your ideal clients using social media and paid ads, even referrals, how to increase your client conversion into packages at an 80 to 90% conversion rate like me, how to retain your clients for longer, getting them better results and making them happier, how to increase your prices and charge a premium to work with you, and how you can build a 6, multi-6, even 7-figure practice just like I did, but with 1/10 of the time and 1/10 of the effort. What I want you to realize is that everything I teach comes from exactly what I did to have success and still have success in my own health business, and I want to share that with you so you can have success too. So go check out healthcarebusinesssecrets.com/insider right now and let me help you win big in your health business. Also remember to subscribe for 2 episodes every week full of the secrets to have success in your health business, as well as leave us a review so we know what you thought of the show. And I'll see you on the next episode.